Have you ever looked at a family photo and felt like something was off? Like something in the background didn't belong? Most people would just ignore it. Maybe blame it on the camera. Maybe assume it was a stranger who wandered into the shot. But what if it wasn't a stranger? What if the sixth person in your family photo knew exactly who you were? This is not a fictional story. This is something that happened to my family. And after years of trying to find answers, what we discovered changed everything we thought we knew about who we are and who has been watching us. My name is Emily. I'm 34 years old, and I grew up in a small town in Oregon. I have a loving families: my mom, my dad, my older brother Jake, and my younger sister Lily. 5 people. Always 5. But in one photograph from our family vacation in 2009, there are 6. If you are sensitive to unsettling content, please be advised. But there is no graphic content here. Just the truth. And sometimes, the truth is more disturbing than anything Hollywood could ever create. Let's begin. Every family has a box of old photographs somewhere. For us, it was in the hall closet, a big cardboard box filled with decades of memories. Birthday parties, holidays, graduations, random Tuesday afternoons that someone thought were worth capturing. In the summer of 2022, I was going through that box. I had just moved back home temporarily after a breakup, and honestly, looking through old photos was a way to cope. A way to remind myself that life goes on, that there are good memories worth holding onto. Most of the photos were exactly what you'd expect. Kids covered in birthday cake frosting. Holiday dinners with too much food on the table. My dad making the same ridiculous face in every single photo he ever took. But one photo stopped me cold. It was from our family vacation to the Oregon coast in 2009. I remembered that trip vividly. We stayed in a small rental cottage near Cannon Beach, spent our days walking along the shore, eating seafood, and doing absolutely nothing productive. The photo was taken on the beach at sunset. All 5 of us, Mom, Dad, Jake, Lily, and me, standing together in front of the ocean. Mom and Dad in the back, the 3 kids in front. Classic family photo composition. Except, there were 6 people in it. Standing at the far right of the frame, partially obscured by my dad, was another figure. A woman. She appeared to be in her late 20s or early 30s, with dark hair that caught the wind, wearing a simple white dress. She was standing close to my family, not like a stranger passing by in the background. She was standing with us. Like she belonged there. And she was looking directly at the camera. Not at us. Not past us. At the camera. As if she knew the photo was being taken. As if she wanted to be in it. I stared at that photo for what felt like an eternity. My hands were trembling. Because here's the thing that made my blood run cold: I remembered that vacation perfectly. Every single moment of it. And there was no woman on that beach with us. Nobody else was there. So who was she? My first instinct, like any rational person, was to find a logical explanation. Maybe she was just a stranger on the beach who happened to be standing nearby when the photo was taken. Maybe the angle made it look like she was closer than she actually was. So I grabbed my laptop and opened the photo in editing software. I zoomed in, enhanced the resolution, adjusted the brightness and contrast. I wanted to see every single detail of that mysterious woman. What I saw made my stomach drop. First, her positioning. In the photo, she was standing approximately 2 feet from my dad. That's not background distance. That's family photo distance. She wasn't a passerby. She was deliberately placed in the frame. Second, her shadow. I checked the shadows of everyone in the photo. The sun was setting behind us, so our shadows should have been cast forward, toward the camera. Mom's shadow forward. Dad's shadow forward. Jake, Lily, mine, all forward. The woman's shadow was pointing in a completely different direction. It was pointing toward my family. Third, and this is where it gets really disturbing, her eyes. When I zoomed in and enhanced the image, I could see her eyes clearly. They weren't looking at the camera the way you'd expect. They were focused, intentional, and they weren't looking at the lens. They were looking at Lily, my younger sister, who was 7 years old in that photo. I closed the laptop and sat in silence for a long time. Then I did what anyone would do. I called my mom. When I described the photo and the woman in it, there was a long pause on the other end of the line. Then my mom said something that changed everything. "Emily, what does she look like?" Not "what do you mean?" Not "are you sure?" She asked what the woman looked like. Like she already knew she was there. I drove to my parents' house that same evening. When I walked in, my mom was sitting at the kitchen table with a cup of tea that had clearly gone cold. She looked like she hadn't slept in days. Maybe she hadn't. I showed her the photo on my phone. She looked at it for a long time, then set the phone down carefully, like it might shatter. "I've seen her before," she said quietly. My heart stopped. "What do you mean?" Mom took a deep breath. "Emily, there's something about our family that I never told you. Something my own mother told me when I was about your age, something I hoped I would never have to pass on." She paused, wrapping her hands around the cold cup of tea. "In our family, the women have always been watched. Not by strangers. Not by anyone living. By someone attached to us. Someone who has been connected to the women in our bloodline for generations." I wanted to interrupt, to ask 100 questions, but something in her voice kept me silent. My grandmother called her the follower. She said every generation of women in our family has a companion, someone who appears in photographs, sometimes in mirrors, occasionally in dreams. Someone who is always there, but never interacts. Never speaks. Never makes herself known unless you're specifically looking for her. Mom looked at me with an expression I had never seen before, a mixture of fear and resignation. "Your great-great-grandmother was the first one to notice. She found a daguerreotype from 1887, a formal family portrait. And in the background, barely visible, was a woman who didn't belong. The same woman. The same face. Over 100 years ago." After my mom's confession, I became obsessed. I spent weeks going through every single photograph our family had ever taken. And what I found was impossible to explain away. In a photograph from 1952, my great-aunt's wedding photo, there she was. Standing near the back of the church, partially hidden behind a pillar. Same dark hair. Same quiet, watchful expression. In a photograph from 1978, my grandmother's Christmas card photo, there, in the reflection of a Christmas tree ornament, was a small but unmistakable figure. A woman with dark hair. Watching. In a photograph from 1994, my mom's college graduation, standing in the crowd of families, dressed in casual clothes that blended in perfectly, was a woman who didn't belong. Same face. Same eyes. Looking directly at my mom. The pattern was undeniable. Across decades, across different locations, across different cameras, she was always there. Watching. Following. Documenting. But here's what was most unsettling of all: in every single photograph, she looked exactly the same age. The same face. The same appearance. Not aging. Not changing. Just present. I started researching. I read about shadow people, about ancestral spirits, about the concept of family guardians in various cultures around the world. Some cultures in Southeast Asia speak of family spirits that attach themselves to bloodlines and follow descendants across generations. In some traditions, these spirits are seen as protectors. In others, they are something far less benign. I also found accounts online buried deep in forums and obscure websites of other families who had experienced similar phenomena. People who had found extra figures in their family photographs. People who had seen the same face appear generation after generation. One account, posted by a woman in Minnesota, described finding a figure in her family photos that matched descriptions going back to the 1800s. She wrote one line that stayed with me long after I closed the browser. "It doesn't want to scare you. It wants you to know it's there. The question is, why? 3 weeks into my investigation, something happened that went beyond photographs. It was a Thursday night. I was staying at my parents' house, and Lily's now 19 was home from college for the weekend. We were up late talking in her bedroom, catching up on everything we'd missed. Around midnight, Lily mentioned something casually, almost as an afterthought. "Hey, have you ever had the feeling that someone is standing in your closet at night? Not like creepy. More like someone just watching you sleep. Peacefully." I felt the hair on my arm stand up. "What do you mean?" I asked, trying to keep my voice steady. Lily shrugged. "I don't know. It started when I was really little. Maybe 6 or 7. I always felt like someone was in my room at night. Not scary though. Actually kind of comforting. Like someone was keeping an eye on me." She paused, then added, "Mom always told me it was just my imagination. But it never felt like imagination. It felt real." I thought about telling her everything right then, about the photographs, about the follower, about everything Mom had revealed. But something stopped me. I needed to understand more first. I needed to know if this presence was harmful before I frightened my younger sister. So instead, I asked, "Lily, have you ever tried to see her?" Lily looked at me with wide eyes. "So you know about her?" We talked for hours that night. Lily had known about the presence in her room since childhood. She had never been afraid of it. In fact, she described it as almost maternal, a quiet, watchful presence that seemed to disappear whenever anyone else was around. "It's like she only shows herself to me," Lily said softly. "Like I'm the one she's paying attention to right now." The way she said it sent a chill down my spine that I couldn't shake for days. After weeks of research and long conversations with my mom and grandmother, who confirmed everything and added even more details, I finally pieced together what I believe is the closest thing to an explanation we're ever going to get. The women in our family have always been watched. Generation after generation, a presence has followed us, appearing in photographs, lingering in rooms, watching from the edges of our lives. She never harms us. She never interferes. She simply observes. My grandmother believed she was an ancestor, one of the earliest women in our bloodline who somehow became attached to the family after death. Not as a ghost in the traditional sense, but as an echo. A presence that recorded and witnessed the lives of the women who came after her. My mom believed something different. She thought the follower was a warning, a reminder that we were being watched, that our choices and our lives mattered to someone or something beyond our understanding. And Lily? Lily believed the simplest explanation of all. "Maybe she's just lonely," she said one evening, looking out the window at the sunset. "Maybe she just wants to be part of the family. She just doesn't know how to ask." We never found out the truth. Maybe we never will. But I made one decision after everything that happened: I stopped being afraid. The next time our family took a photo last Christmas, I looked carefully at every single person in the frame. Mom, Dad, Jake, Lily, and me. 5 people. But when I zoomed in later that night, there in the corner of the image, barely visible behind the Christmas tree, was a familiar silhouette. Dark hair. Quiet. Watching. And for the first time, I smiled. Because maybe that's what family really is. Not just the people you see every day, but the ones who have been watching over you all along. The ones who never left. The ones who stay in every photograph, in every memory, in every moment, even when no one is looking. Even when you don't know they're there. Thank you for watching. If your family has ever experienced something like this, strange figures in photographs, presences you can't explain, please share your story in the comments. You are not alone, and your experience matters. Hit subscribe for more stories like this. And remember, next time you look at an old family photo, count the people twice.